Communities can create fun for themselves even when the game that they engage in is subpar. This is the driving force behind why I continuously seek out and publish off-meta builds. The community that surrounds build crafting can be some of the best parts of the Destiny 2 experience. Even when we may not enjoy logging on, even when we are making videos mostly to pay bills, still, we find joy in the people and the ideas that this game can promote. There are likely better experiences and better communities out there for what we enjoy, but this is the one that we are lucky enough to be a part of. We want nothing more than to have the spark back that got us so ignited in this game to begin with, and we too are tired of the continued negative discourse, even if it is with good intention and for a good purpose. But we still have a joy that may not ever be removed: the community. Off-meta builds are a manifestation of community for us, as strange as that may sound. And those who partake in these builds may also come to appreciate and understand this as well. Besides, there is no greater joy in life than making someone salty. Welcome to Stupid Builds, where I will show you some stupid builds. Some of these builds are our own creation, some are from our livestream chat, but all of them are stupid because of how strong they secretly are. If you would have asked me even a few months ago what the worst archetype of primary weapon is in Destiny 2, I undoubtedly would have said 180 hand cannons. I thought them to be too slow, too outclassed, and too niche for it to see any real value in PvP. Yet here I am, sticking my metaphorical foot in my metaphorical mouth as I say, the malfeasance is shockingly good. This build from my livestream had the simple goal of creating a well-balanced, grenade-slinging, damage-boosting, yeehaw-crying hunter machine. And by the 9, I believe they might have pulled it off. In case you too were like me, and were a non-believer in the malfeasance, allow me to catch you up to speed. The Malfeasance exotic trait grants it an explosive slug shot which sticks into a target and detonates if 5 of them land in short succession. This at face value seems underwhelming, being that the minimal shots required to kill is 4, 2 head and 2 body. However, with the lucky pants and a gravity-allergic playstyle, your in-air accuracy even from the hip is so damn good you're like an 80s action movie hero. And this is where the exotic trait really comes into play. While we may still have a slightly troubling time landing our headshots while flying through the air and hip firing, we can easily land body shots. So, that shotgun ape that got a little too close to restraining order range? One simple jump back and a pinned trigger will cause some psychological reprogramming. Need to break open an engagement, but you know someone has it held down tight? Break their hard scope with a jump around that corner. While this obviously isn't the end-all be-all for engagement tools, it opens up a surprising amount of options that you may have forgotten about since the airborne effectiveness changes. Dare I say it, it makes PvP more fun? Oh no, that simply cannot happen in my Destiny 2 Crucible! Let's make sure others don't have fun at least, and pair this setup with a grenade launcher and a quick swap combo. Unfortunately, the build creator wanted this grenade launcher to be a wave frame, which makes a headshot cleanup impossible on most resiliences. This does at least allow us slightly more area of effect and consistency, at least in theory. If you run this build yourself, I strongly recommend a normal grenade launcher unless you don't have a good one. You may have already seen it in the background footage, but we are running this with the Acrobat's dodge for an option to 3-tap with the Malfeasance. This brings this below average time to kill to slightly above average. The real winner here is the consistency this provides. You can really think of this weapon like a scout rifle, as it's able to kill targets at any range with those 5 slugs. If you encounter a super or other tanky guardian, again, just 5-tap for a for sure kill. To all the less than adequate players out there, yes, even the person I am having read this letter in the funny voice, hey! This is a fantastic training wheels build. This will both make you more consistent, but also have decent scalability as you continue to improve your skills. If you have been struggling to find your footing in PvP lately, give this a try. I give it 6 balloons out of 2 rubber duckies. By the way, if you don't mind the used calories, please subscribe. Things are looking a bit bleak right now, with Destiny's doing, well, everything it's doing, but we still love making content. Anyways, while we are on a roll for weapons I previously despised, let's talk about the final warning. A strange and sadly disappointing little sidearm that promised me a glimpse of reliving my glory days of Titanfall 2, but instead only delivered a weapon that only really got used on PvE. But this is a redemption arc. And yes, I actually didn't want to put my head in the oven after playing this build. While its lock-on and subsequent damage is too slow for most competitive environments, when it is able to hit headshots, it can 3-tap at an RPM that would make even the sweet business blush. But that's not why I enjoyed this gun. Instead, that seemingly anti-synergistic pick of the Liar's Handshake on an ARC subclass, of course, with this weapon really found my fancy. You see, while I might not be able to outright eliminate a target with just the piddly sidearm, it does damage them just enough to follow up with a well-placed electric shuriken. Using the aspect Lethal Current, my arc punches deal 150 total damage, which means that while I am bouncing off the walls with Blink like a child who found their mother's Keurig cup stash, I can chip damage into targets and then close the gap with my rated E for everyone fists. To help pad out my engagement ranges, I ran this with a sniper. The Adored, to be exact, but feel free to use your personal favorite long-distance brain cleaver. I ended up relying on this for most of my burst damage due to my primary's handicapped time to kills, so be warned when picking a longer range scope. One thing worth keeping in mind is that this was with a combination blows and of course the Gambler's Dodge. If you like getting a little silly with the Liars, this isn't the worst place to start. But I still don't plan on dipping back into this bowl of guacamole anytime soon. 4 EAs out of 11 Activisions. Forerunner is a staple in the meta. For those who are skilled, they will find it powerful. For those who are not, they will find it too inconsistent or too costly. The goal of this build was to make Shax proud by throwing enough grenades. Forerunner with the touch of thunder aspect on a striker titan, lightning grenades, of course, and the new Arbor Warden exotic chest piece. This was the first time I had ever seen the Arbor Warden in a context that wasn't Sentinel Titan or Strand Titan, and I am less than impressed. Sure, I love it for the whole meme this build is presenting me. We have effectively 4 grenades up at once, but simply throwing a barricade without any real benefit is not that effective, as it should be expected. Similarly, while I love the Forerunner, I don't see myself ever intentionally using the rock grenade. While I do love sending messages, and the poetry of the grenade being called the Rock is objectively hilarious, it's just too costly for my precious special ammo reserve. Despite all of my complaints, this build was a firmer reminder as to why I love the Forerunner. Good damage, consistent above average time to kills, flexible, and of course, it's sexy. Just look at that! We paired this with a 3-burst sidearm, another staple of weapons that sometimes gets overlooked. The rest is the standard Arc Titan layout, with more care put on our grenades, like using Spark of Magnitude. If you like the Forerunner, you might find this build funny for at least a few games. I ended up making a mini-game out of trying to barricade blast someone. 3 Master Chiefs out of 16 343 Industries. Cryosthesia is a war crime masquerading as a sidearm. While we have made builds on it in the past, we have yet to appease the cryosthesia gods like an eldritch abomination, lest we suffer a fate of frozen death ourselves. So forgive me for perhaps a slight lack in variety with this suggestion. For this particular cryosthesia build, we're going with something a little bit more unusual, and running this with the Bombardiers on a Solar Hunter. We wrap this together with a high-impact legendary glaive, the Judgment of Kelgarath, and we have a few ways of dispatching the unfortunate unwilling sacrifices to my cryosthesia kill counter. We can either freeze, dodge, then lightweight throwing knife for the kill, but personally, I found this cycle to be too slow and too forcefully spaced out because of the Gambler's Dodge natural cooldown. We can use the glaive to prime up a target before swapping back to the cryosthesia for the cleanup. This served to be a good middle ground, as it generally kept my cryos and my glaive energy up. Or lastly, we could simply freeze into the throwing knife. The quantifiable disrespect that pours out of the last of these, as you likely already know, is my personal favorite. I wasn't sure how I would like the Bombardiers with this setup, but they ended up being decent. This build did a good job of keeping the king-size can of ape-away spray on hands at all times, yet its lack of range meant that if we weren't on Endless Veil, we would be in endless pain. I challenge you all to try to out-design my Cryosthesia Warlock build from a few videos ago. This unfortunately didn't, and likely will never be able to do that, but again, it's fun. Subscribe for more bi-weekly stupid builds. Bless your faces, and deuces.
I don't